The microphone hits the floor with a metallic clang that echoes through the lakefront pavilion. My aunt's laughter cuts through the silence. Look at the tough soldier now. But I've brought something they didn't expect, manila envelopes that weigh more than any combat gear I've ever carried. Behind me, the process server steps forward with papers that will end a decade of lies. They dragged me from that stage to humiliate me. They forgot I spent 10 years learning how to dismantle enemy supply lines. Tonight, I'm not defending freedom overseas. I'm reclaiming it right here in Milwaukee. My name is Captain Mara Whitlow, and I've coordinated supply drops into active combat zones for 12 years. But sitting in Port and Ember Steakhouse in downtown Milwaukee, watching my father stand with his wine glass raised, I realize I've never faced an ambush quite like this. The restaurant smells of aged oak and charred meat. Edison bulbs cast amber light across the private dining room my family reserved for my homecoming celebration. Dark wood panels absorb sound, creating an intimate acoustic bubble where every word lands with precision. My mother Lila sits to Frank's right, her pearls catching the light. Madison, my younger sister, checks her phone between sips of Cabernet, probably monitoring engagement metrics on her latest PR campaign. Aunt Beverly occupies the far end, her crow's feet deepening as she watches me with barely concealed amusement. "We're so proud to have Madison here," Frank begins, his voice carrying that boardroom authority he's perfected over decades of failed ventures. "Building her agency from nothing, making the family name mean something in this city." The words land like coordinates for an airstrike. Making the family name mean something, as if Whitlow Outfitters hadn't survived the last decade on my automatic transfers. And while we wish... He pauses, swirling his Malbec. "We wish we only had Madison to celebrate tonight." The silence that follows is dense as Kevlar. Forks pause mid-cut. Even the servers hovering near the kitchen door freeze. I catalog exit's main entrance 12 feet behind me. Kitchen access to my 3 o'clock emergency exit past the restrooms. Standard threat assessment. Automatic as breathing. Beverly's laughter cracks through the tension like small arms fire. Look at her, our tough soldier girl. Still thinks she's in the field. I set down my water glass with controlled precision. The condensation ring on the mahogany table forms a perfect circle contained, defined, manageable. Unlike this situation. "You're right, Beverly," I say, voice level as a rifle sight. "I am still in the field." Madison looks up from her phone, sensing blood in the water. "Drama queen as always. Can't you just enjoy a family dinner without making everything about your service? She spits it out like expired MRE crackers. I stand slowly, muscle memory keeping my movements economical. No wasted energy, no telegraphed intention. My dress uniform worn specifically for this occasion remains immaculate despite the invisible shrapnel flying across the table. "You know what I learned coordinating supply chains in Kandahar?" I ask, though it's not really a question. Every resource has a point of origin. Every supply line can be traced. And when someone's been stealing from the convoy, I let my gaze sweep the table like a searchlight. The paperwork always tells the truth. Frank's jaw tightens. Lila's fingers find her pearls. Madison's thumb hovers over her phone screen. "Sit down, Mara," Frank commands. "You're embarrassing yourself." But I'm already moving. Tactical withdrawal executed with precision. 3 steps backward to maintain visual contact. Pivot at the pillar. 7 strides to the entrance. I don't run. Running suggests panic. I walk with the measured pace of someone who's navigated minefields and knows exactly where to place each step. "Behind me." Beverly's voice carries across the dining room. "There she goes. Can't handle a little family honesty. Some soldier." The November air hits like a slap when I exit onto Water Street. Lake Michigan wind cuts through my uniform, carrying the smell of coming snow. The valet offers my keys, but I wave him off. I'll walk the 8 blocks to my hotel. Need to establish a temporary command post. Reassess the operational environment. My phone buzzes. Madison's text arrives before I reach the corner. Real mature, sis. Maybe get help for that PTSD. I don't respond. In combat, the first rule of an ambush is to exit the kill zone. The second rule is to prepare your counterattack. They think tonight was their victory. They're wrong. Tonight was reconnaissance. The Marriott near General Mitchell Airport becomes my forward operating base. Room 847 corner unit. Multiple sight lines. Thick carpeting that muffles footsteps. The desk lamp throws harsh fluorescent light across 10 years of bank statements I've pulled from my encrypted drive. Each page tells a story my family refuses to acknowledge. $500 every month. First of every month at 12:01 a.m. Automatic transfer from my USAA account to Whitlow Outfitters LLC. 120 transfers. $60,000. The numbers blur as I trace them with my index finger, following the money like tracking supply convoys through hostile territory. I open another window on my laptop, the family photo archive I've maintained since deployment. There, Madison's college graduation. Mom's caption, "So proud of our self-made daughter." Self-made with my combat pay covering her final 2 years when the loans fell through. There, the grand reopening of Whitlow Outfitters after the 2018 flood. Frank cutting the ribbon, quoted in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel about family resilience and bootstrap capitalism. No mention of the emergency wire transfer from my forward operating base in Syria that kept the lights on. My phone buzzes. Mom's number. I let it ring through to voicemail while I pull up more files. The folder labeled Woe Biz Dev contains everything supplier contracts I negotiated during leave, the relationship with Henley Textiles in Tennessee I cultivated through a veteran connection, the inventory management system I designed between missions, 300 hours of work, credited to Madison's consulting firm in the company newsletter, another call. Frank this time. Then Madison. A text from Mom. Your behavior tonight was unacceptable. We've given you everything. Given me everything. I stand, pace to the window. The airport runway lights blink in sequence approach pattern, orderly, predictable, unlike family dynamics. Unlike the wound that's been festering since I was 16, when I saved 8 months of part-time wages to buy Frank a military-grade watch for his birthday. He'd opened it, glanced at the price tag I'd forgotten to remove, and said, "Honey, maybe next time ask Madison to help you pick something out. She has an eye for quality." Madison's crayon drawing of a house still hangs in his office. My bronze star recommendation letter lives in a drawer. The laptop screen dims, and I catch my reflection in the black mirror. 34 years old, captain's insignia on my collar, and still fighting for acknowledgement from people who've rewritten history to exclude my contributions. No more. I pull up USAA online banking. The next automatic transfer is scheduled for 3 days from now. My fingers hover over the keyboard. In combat, we call this cutting the supply line. Deny resources to hostile forces. Force them to reveal their actual position. Click. Transfer canceled. Next, the Google Drive folder containing a decade of Whitlow Outfitters strategic planning. My planning. Vendor relationships. Supply chain optimization. The contract templates that increased profit margins by 32%. All tagged with Madison's initials in the company system. But the metadata doesn't lie. Creation date my military email. Modification history my IP addresses from bases in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. Select all. Delete. Empty trash. Permanent removal. My phone explodes with notifications. I switch it to silent, but the screen keeps lighting up. Frank, Mom, Madison, even Beverly, probably drafting her next public humiliation. The last file is an email thread from 2019. Mom writing to her sister in Phoenix. Madison's been such a help with the business. Frank says she has a natural talent for operations. We're so lucky at least one of our daughters understands family responsibility. I forward it to my military email address. Evidence secured. The minibar bourbon burns, but it's nothing compared to the clarity crystallizing in my mind. They want to erase my contributions. Fine. Let them discover what the business looks like without them. They want to pretend Madison built everything perfect. Let her try to rebuild it from scratch. I open a new document and begin typing. Strategic objectives, available assets, enemy capabilities, potential allies, timeline for execution. By 3 a.m., I have a 12-page operational plan. By 4, I've identified my first recruit. By sunrise, the war has begun. The first call comes at 7:15 a.m. While I'm reviewing supply depot manifests for Fort Patriot. Frank's number. I let it ring out while finishing my coffee black. Temperature precise. No variables I can't control. The second call arrives 3 minutes later. Mom. Then Madison. Then Frank again. The voicemails pile up like incoming fire, but I don't break position. Instead, I execute the next phase complete communication blackout. I remove myself from the family WhatsApp group with surgical precision. No farewell message, no explanation. Just absence where participation used to be. The notification appears immediately. Madison added you to Whitlow family updates. Remove. Lila added you to Whitlow family updates. Remove. They cycle through 4 more attempts before the notifications stop. My laptop displays Whitlow Outfitters vendor portal still accessible with the credentials I created, but Frank never bothered to change. Henley Textiles shows an outstanding balance of $42,000, due in 6 days. Without my contact there, Sergeant First Class Jake Henley. Retired, that payment terms extension I negotiated won't materialize. The supplier relationships I've maintained through careful correspondence, veteran network connections, and precisely timed check-ins during leave, those invisible threads are about to snap. The phone rings again. This time it's a Milwaukee number I don't recognize. I answer on the 5th ring. Mara, Frank's voice, but stripped of last night's boardroom authority. Your mother says you canceled the transfer? Confirmed, I say, using the same tone I'd use to verify coordinates. That money we have obligations. Payroll is Friday. Madison's consulting firm brought in $800,000 last year, according to her website. I'm sure she can cover a $10,000 payroll. Silence. Then, this is childish. This is consequences. I end the call and immediately block the number. Then Frank's cell. Then Mom's. Then Madison's. Then Beverly's. The digital perimeter established. I move to the next objective. The email composition window glows on my screen. Recipients, the 17 vendors whose relationships I've personally maintained. Subject line, important notice regarding Whitlow Outfitters account management. Effective immediately. I am discontinuing my unofficial consulting role with Whitlow Outfitters LLC. All operational procedures, supply chain optimizations, and strategic planning documents I've developed have been removed from company access. For continuity of service, please coordinate directly with Madison Whitlow, Chief Operations Consultant, who has been credited with these innovations for the past 8 years. Note: the preferential payment terms and military discount programs I negotiated are personal arrangements that cannot be transferred. Respectfully, Captain Mara Whitlow, 47th Logistics Brigade, Fort Patriot. Send. Within minutes. My military email pings with responses. Jake from Henley Textiles. Understood, Captain. The standard terms for new accounts are payment on delivery. Kowalski from Milwaukee Metal Works. Copy that. Removing the veteran discount effective immediately. Chin from Priority Shipping. Roger, expedited handling terminated. My personal phone, the one they don't have the number for, buzzes with a text from Tessa Grant, my former platoon leader who witnessed my last 3 homecomings disasters. Heard through the grapevine you finally went nuclear. About damn time. Whatever support you need, you've got it. I text back, might need character witnesses soon. Say when. The hotel room phone rings. I've given no one this number, which means they've called the front desk, probably claimed emergency. I unplug it from the wall. By noon, I've documented everything. 10 years of transfers compiled, annotated, totaled. Every strategic document I created, screenshots showing metadata, creation dates, my military email as author, the contracts I negotiated saved with email threads proving my involvement, the vendor relationships documented with correspondence chains. A knock at the door. I check the peephole hotel security with a man in a suit. Lawyer, probably. Madison's speed dial attorney boyfriend. I don't answer. Wisconsin law requires proper service, not hotel room ambushes. My laptop pings. An email from Madison, sent to my military address since I've blocked her personal one. The subject line, grow up. The message is pure Madison manipulative, threatening, designed to trigger guilt. She mentions PTSD twice, suggests I'm having a breakdown, threatens to share concerns about my mental stability with my commanding officer if I don't restore the transfers and return the files. I forward it to my JAG contact with a note, civilian attempting to interfere with military personnel. Please advise on harassment protocols. By evening, Whitlow Outfitters' Facebook page, which Madison manages, posts about supporting family members struggling with mental health challenges and the invisible wounds of service. The comments fill with sympathy for my family dealing with their troubled veteran. I screenshot everything, evidence file growing. Let them build their narrative. Tomorrow, I begin building mine. The care package arrives at my hotel room at 0900 hours Tuesday. Homemade cookies, still warm, in a container marked Mental Logistics Support. The note in Tessa's handwriting. Intel suggests enemy forces are mobilizing social media assets. Recommend counteroffensive. P.S. I've got your 6. She's not wrong. Madison's PR machine is in full production. 3 lifestyle bloggers have posted about supporting families with difficult veterans. The local Milwaukee wellness influencer Madison's yoga friend shares a vague story about someone close to her dealing with a family member's PTSD-driven hostility. The narrative is building. I'm the damaged soldier terrorizing my innocent family. Time to acquire allies. Owen Blake answers on the second ring. We've been working together on the power grid fortification project at Fort Patriot for 8 months. He's seen me coordinate 3 simultaneous supply chains during a Category 4 hurricane, maintain perfect inventory accuracy across 7 warehouses, and negotiate a $2 million contract reduction through strategic vendor management. Captain Whitlow, heard you might be looking for character references. Word travels fast in military contractor circles. Potentially, would you be willing to provide professional testimony about my operational capabilities after you saved our project from that supply chain collapse last spring? Absolutely. And Mara. His voice drops. I know Madison's work, presented at the same business summit last year. Her innovative logistics solutions were your Hurricane Katrina response protocols with the serial numbers filed off. I document his contact information. Allie confirmed. The next call requires more finesse. Grandfather Colonel Walter Whitlow Sr., retired, residing in Pensacola. He answers with military precision despite being 83. Mara. Sir, your father called, said you've gone AWOL from family obligations. I've terminated unauthorized resource allocation to compromised units. Sir. A pause, then a dry chuckle. That bad. I brief him with the same clarity I'd use for a combat report, the decade of financial support, the stolen credit, the public humiliation, the current PR campaign to paint me as unstable. They did this at Eleanor's table. His voice carries the kind of cold fury that once made lieutenants reconsider career choices. Eleanor, my grandmother, who ran supply operations for the WACs in Korea, whose portrait hangs in Frank's office next to his golf trophies. Roger that, sir. Stand by for further instructions. Captain. He hangs up. In grandfather's world, that's a declaration of alliance. By afternoon, I've assembled my roster. 7 former service members who've witnessed my logistics expertise. 3 civilian contractors who can testify to my mental stability and professional competence. 1 JAG officer preparing a cease and desist for Madison's defamation campaign. My personal phone buzzes. Unknown number, local area code. Captain Whitlow, this is Patricia Delgrave from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I'm calling about your family's business. I understand there's been some significant operational changes. Madison's counterattack. Probably. Get ahead of the narrative with friendly media. No comment. I say. Your sister suggested you might be struggling with some service-related challenges. No comment. If you'd like to share your side, I hang up. The reporter will run Madison's version. That's acceptable. Let them commit to a narrative before I deploy the evidence. Evening brings an unexpected ally. An email from Sergeant First Class Jake Henley at Henley Textiles. Captain Frank Whitlow just called demanding the same payment terms you negotiated. Told him those were personal arrangements based on your guarantee. He said Madison's been managing the account for years. Funny thing, I've got 7 years of emails from your mill address and exactly 0 from Madison. The $42K they owe due in full Monday. No extensions. Thought you should know the timeline. Monday, 6 days from now. Without my intervention, without the vendor relationships I've maintained, Whitlow Outfitters will default on their largest supplier. The dominoes are positioned. That night, I received 2 more strategic assets. First, a package from grandfather via overnight mail copies of grandmother Eleanor's personal letters discussing her vision for the family business, built on honor, sustained by truth, legacy through service. The second page is a legal document, power of attorney, dated 3 years ago, giving grandfather full control of the Eleanor Whitlow Trust, the fund that owns the building housing Whitlow Outfitters. Second, a text from my cousin in Chicago, the one who spreads family gossip faster than typhoid. OMG, is it true your grandfather is rewriting his will? I don't respond, but I smile. The intelligence network is activated. By midnight, I've mapped the entire battlefield. Financial pressure points, legal vulnerabilities, social weak spots. The high school reunion gala, their attempt at public reconciliation, is 5 days away. 5 days to position every piece. 5 days to prepare the killing blow. They want to erase my contributions. I'll show them exactly what those contributions were worth. The law office of Morton and Associates occupies a corner suite in a Pensacola high-rise overlooking the Gulf. Elaine Morton has been grandfather's attorney for 40 years. She handled grandmother Eleanor's estate, established the original trust, and knows where every family skeleton is buried. Your grandfather called this meeting, she says, sliding documents across the mahogany table. These are the current trust documents. As you can see, upon his death, assets transfer equally to his living children, meaning Frank gets half of everything, including the building that houses Whitlow Outfitters. Grandfather sits rigid in his dress blues. He still wears them for important occasions. Unacceptable, he says. My son has proven himself unworthy of Eleanor's legacy. We can restructure, Elaine continues, producing a new set of documents. The Eleanor Whitlow Valor Fund, a charitable trust supporting veterans' families. You would be the sole trustee, Mara, with full control over asset distribution. I review the paperwork with the same attention I'd give to convoy routes through hostile territory. Every clause is precise, legally bulletproof. Frank and Madison are mentioned once as specifically excluded parties. There's more, grandfather says. He places a worn bronze star on the table, his from Vietnam. This represents something your father never understood. Service isn't about recognition. It's about bearing the weight others won't carry. His hand covers mine. Skin paper thin, but grip still firm. Your grandmother supplied 3 battalions through the Chosin Reservoir, minus 60 degrees. No recognition, no credit, just duty. You're her granddaughter, not Frank's daughter. We sign the papers in triplicate, notarized, witnessed, filed with the state by 3P.M. The building housing Whitlow Outfitters, worth $2.3 million, is now under the trust's control. I am that trust. When should we inform them? Elaine asks. After they've shown their true colors publicly. I say, let them commit to their narrative first. Grandfather nods approvingly. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. On the flight back to Milwaukee, I execute Phase 2, a call to my cousin Jessica in Chicago, the family information broker who trades gossip like currency. Jess, I need you to know something, but it's absolutely confidential. Oh my God, what? Her voice drops to conspiratorial levels. Grandfather just restructured everything, the whole inheritance. But you can't tell anyone. The lawyer said it could cause tax complications if it gets out too early. Not a word, she promises. I give her exactly 40 minutes before she breaks. By the time I land at General Mitchell, my phone shows 17 missed calls from Frank. The intelligence network is functioning perfectly. That evening, I meet Owen Blake at a craft brewery near the lakefront. He brings technical drawings from our Fort Patriot project documents showing my signature on every logistics coordination plan. Your sister claimed credit for the emergency supply chain restructure in her company newsletter last month, he says, sliding me a printout. The one you designed during Hurricane Maria. She changed 2 words and put her name on it. I photograph the evidence. Another round in the chamber. There's something else. Owen continues. The Wisconsin Business Association Gala tomorrow night. Madison's receiving their Young Innovator Award for Supply Chain Excellence. Your supply chain excellence. I already knew it's why Grandfather expedited the trust restructure. Let her accept an award for my work. Let them all celebrate their fiction. The truth will hit harder with that context. My hotel room has become a command center. Bankers' boxes of evidence line one wall. Financial records, email threads, vendor correspondence, 10 years of receipts, both literal and metaphorical. Tessa arrives at 2100 hours with military precision, carrying coffee and tactical advice. They're escalating, she says, showing me Madison's latest Instagram story. It's a photo of a family dinner with a pointed caption about choosing peace over toxic relationships and protecting family from harmful influences. Good, I say. Let them establish the narrative that I'm the aggressor. Makes the reversal more impactful. When do you strike? Saturday. The homecoming gala. They've already told everyone I'll be there to reconcile. Even hired a photographer to document our healing moment. Tessa grins. They're providing their own ammunition. Roger that. She helps me organize the final evidence packets. Bank statements in one manila envelope. Vendor emails in another. The trust documents in a third, sealed and waiting. Each one labeled with military precision. You know they'll never forgive you, Tessa says. They never forgave me for existing differently than Madison. At least now it's mutual. At midnight, I receive a text from an unknown number. This is Patricia Delgrave again. Your sister has provided substantial documentation about your mental health struggles. If you'd like to comment before tomorrow's article, I delete it. Let tomorrow's article run. Let Madison cement her lies in print, because in 4 days, at the gala, in front of Milwaukee's business elite, I'm going to detonate everything. The transfer notification appears on my phone. The Eleanor Whitlow Valor Fund is now active. With full control of the building Whitlow Outfitters needs to survive. The siege has begun. Wednesday's Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel runs Madison's hit piece on page 3 of the business section. Local business owner struggles with family member's PTSD crisis. The article paints me as unhinged, violent, threatening a veteran who suddenly withdrew critical business support in an apparent mental health episode. Madison's quoted extensively about her innovative solutions, saving the family business from my erratic management style. I laminate the article, evidence for the defamation suit, but more importantly, proof of their commitment to this narrative. By noon, the counteroffensive begins. Madison's Instagram floods with sympathy comments, but buried among them are subtle bombs. Owen Blake's business partner mentions seeing the exact same supply chain model presented at a veterans conference 3 years ago. A procurement officer from Fort McCoy notes the interesting similarity to military logistics protocols. The doubt seeds are planted. Thursday brings financial pressure. Jake Henley emails me a copy of his formal demand letter to Whitlow Outfitters, $42,000 due Monday. No extensions. Or he initiates collection proceedings. The Milwaukee Credit Union emails about their concerns regarding recent operational changes at the business. The dominoes are tipping. Frank's voicemail arrives at 1400 hours, forwarded from my JAG contact who's screening my communications. Mara, this is ridiculous. The business is bleeding. Madison can't reach the vendors. They won't return her calls. Stop this childish tantrum and come home. Ha, childish tantrum. I add it to the list of phrases I'll never forget. Friday morning. Grandfather calls from Pensacola. The trust transfer is complete. As of midnight. Whitlow Outfitters lease payment is due to the Eleanor Whitlow Valor Fund. You are the fund. Copy that, sir. There's more. Elaine discovered Frank took out a business loan against the property illegally, since he doesn't own it. The bank's been notified. They're calling the note. Another domino. Bigger than expected. Madison's damage control intensifies. She posts a Throwback Thursday photo of her first day managing operations at Whitlow Outfitters dated 2018 when I was deployed to Syria, sending supply algorithms from a forward operating base between rocket attacks. The comments praise her dedication, her innovation, her family loyalty. I screenshot everything. The gala invitation arrives by courier Friday afternoon. Embossed cardstock. Gold lettering. The Milwaukee High School Alumni Association requests your presence at the Homecoming Honor Night. Guest of honor Captain Mara Whitlow. Celebrating service and family reconciliation. They've made me the guest of honor. The hubris is breathtaking. I call the venue, confirm the AV setup, microphone, projection screen, wireless presentation remote, all available. I request a small a document camera for displaying physical evidence. They're happy to accommodate their guest of honor. Tessa helps me prepare my dress uniform, every ribbon aligned, every medal polished, the bronze star centered, the logistics badges gleaming. Visual rhetoric let them see what actual service looks like while they spin their fiction. You sure about the nuclear option? She asks. They chose the battlefield, I say. Public humiliation at a homecoming event. I'm just accepting their terms of engagement. Saturday morning starts with calculated intelligence leaks. I email the trust documentation to Jessica in Chicago with a note. The lawyers cleared this for family notification. Grandfather wanted you to know first, but please keep it quiet until after tonight's gala. She forwards it to 6 relatives within an hour. The family group chat, which I'm blocked from, but Tessa monitors through her husband's cousin, explodes. Frank is demanding answers. Mom is heartbroken by the betrayal. Madison pivots to damage control, claiming I manipulated a vulnerable elderly veteran. 3 p.m. Jake Henley texts me directly. Frank just called offering double payment if we extend terms. Told him Monday deadline stands. He mentioned something about a gala tonight where everything will be resolved. Thought you should know. They think tonight is their reconciliation victory. Their prodigal daughter moment. 5 p.m. Final preparation in my hotel room. The manila envelopes arranged in order. Bank statements showing 10 years of transfers. Vendor contracts with my military email as creator. The trust documents. The loan fraud evidence and unexpected bonus. Each packet photocopied 5 times, one for each family member at the head table, plus the original for the document camera. I add one final piece. Grandmother Eleanor's letter about family legacy. Her handwriting still clear after 40 years. True service happens in shadows, without applause, without recognition, but ledgers don't lie, and numbers tell truth when words won't. My phone buzzes. A message from the Wisconsin Business Association president. Looking forward to your inspiring presentation tonight about military logistics innovation. Presentation. They've scheduled me to speak? Of course they have. Madison probably arranged it, thinking she'll control the narrative. Use my reconciliation to boost her image. 7 p.m. I arrive at Lakefront Pavilion. The valet takes my keys with military deference. Inside, crystal chandeliers cast perfect light for photographs. The crowd mingles with cocktails. Madison holding court near the bar in a designer dress that costs more than most soldiers' monthly pay. She sees me enter. Her smile is pure victory. She thinks she's won. In 60 minutes, she'll understand what strategic patience means. In 90 minutes, everyone will know the truth. The siege ends tonight. The Lakefront Pavilion's main hall gleams with orchestrated perfection. Round tables dressed in white linen, centerpieces of white roses and miniature American flags. The head table sits elevated on a platform. Frank, Mom, Madison, Beverly, and an empty chair with my nameplate. The photographer Madison hired circles like a vulture, capturing candid moments of family unity. 8:15 p.m. The Alumni Association president takes the microphone. Tonight, we honor one of our own who served with distinction. Captain Mara Whitlow, please join your family. I walk through the applause with measured steps, manila envelopes tucked under my left arm. Madison's smile tightens when she sees them. Frank stands, arms open for a reconciliation embrace. I sidestep, take my position at the podium instead. Thank you, I say into the microphone. I've been asked to speak about military logistics innovation. Madison relaxes. This is the script she expects. But first, I continue, my family would like to share something. Frank stands, taking the microphone with practiced authority. Mom joins him, their hands clasped in performed unity. We want to publicly acknowledge, Frank begins, his voice carrying that boardroom confidence, that family businesses require sacrifice from everyone. While Mara was serving abroad, Madison held everything together here, built our operations from nothing, created systems that revolutionized our business. The audience murmurs appreciation. Madison glows with false modesty. And while we wish, Mom adds, taking the microphone, we could celebrate both daughters equally. We must be honest. Some are builders, others. She looks at me with theatrical sadness. Others struggle with the transition home. Beverly laughs from her seat, the sound cutting through the respectful silence. Look at the tough soldier now, she says, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Can't even handle a little family truth. The trigger pulled exactly as I predicted. Frank reaches for my arm, Mom for the other, trying to guide me away from the podium. The photographer moves closer, ready to capture the reconciliation or the breakdown. This is their choreographed moment. I don't resist. I don't pull away. I simply reach into my stack of manila envelopes. Actually, I say, voice calm as a pre-dawn briefing, I brought visual aids. The document camera projects onto the massive screen behind us. First image 10 years of bank statements. $500 monthly, transferred at 12:01 a.m. on the 1st, like clockwork. $60,000, I state. 10 years of automatic transfers from my combat pay to Whitlow Outfitters LLC. Madison's smile freezes. Frank's grip on my arm loosens. Second image email threads with Henley Textiles. My military address visible. Negotiating payment terms. Discussing veteran discounts. Managing supply chains from a FOB in Afghanistan. Every vendor relationship. Every contract negotiation. Every supply chain optimization. Documented. The murmuring grows louder. Someone at table 3 recognizes the Henley Company name. They're a major regional employer. Third image, the metadata screen from the company's strategic planning folder. Creation dates during my deployments. Author M. Whitlow O'Mail, Mill. Madison's award-winning innovations, I say, letting the words hang. Created from combat zones, credited to someone who's never left Wisconsin. Madison lunges for the microphone. This is a mental health crisis. I switch to the next image, her Instagram post from Thursday, the defamation article, her texts threatening to call my commanding officer. Defamation, I state simply. Actionable. Documented. Frank tries to salvage control. Mara, stop this immediately. Final image, the trust documents. The Eleanor Whitlow Valor Fund. The building ownership. The called loan notice from the bank. As of midnight yesterday, Whitlow Outfitters' lease is held by a trust I control. Your illegal loan against property you don't own is due in full Monday, along with the $42,000 to Henley Textiles. The silence is absolute. Then, from the back of the room, a process server walks forward. I'd arranged for him to wait until 8:45 p.m. Exactly. He hands Frank the paper's formal notice of lease termination for fraud, 60 days to vacate. Beverly's laugh dies completely. The photographer's camera hangs useless. Madison makes one last attempt, grabbing the microphone. She's sick, PTSD, she needs help. Tessa stands from table 6, her own uniform immaculate. Captain Whitlow coordinated disaster relief for Hurricane Maria while your family took credit. She's the most mentally precise officer I've served with. Owen Blake stands from Table 8. I've reviewed Madison's supposed innovations, their military logistics protocols with the serial numbers filed off. Jake Henley. I hadn't known he was attending stands from a sponsor table. Henley Textiles has worked with Captain Whitlow for 7 years. Never Madison. Never. The dominoes fall in perfect sequence. Each witness I couldn't have planned for, but arriving at the perfect moment. The truth has its own momentum. I set down the final envelope. Unopened. Inside is Grandmother Eleanor's letter, but I don't need it. The evidence speaks. 3 sentences, delivered like coordinates. I've stopped the supply line. I've restored the truth. From now on, my airspace no-fly zone. The microphone thuds onto the podium. I turn, walk through the silent crowd. The exit doors open onto November wind off Lake Michigan, sharp and clean and honest. Behind me, the explosion begins, voices raised, chairs scraping, the photographer capturing the family's actual truth instead of their fiction. I don't look back. The war is over. I won. The lakefront pavilion doors close behind me with a soft pneumatic hiss, sealing the chaos inside. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I can see the aftermath unfolding in stark tableau. Frank gripping the process server's papers, his face the color of winter ash. Mom collapsed in her chair, pearls clutched like prayer beads. Madison frantically typing on her phone, probably trying to spin this disaster on social media before the witnesses post their own versions. Beverly stands frozen, mouth open, her crow's feet carved deep with shock. The laugh that mocked me minutes ago will never sound quite the same. The valet brings my car a practical sedan, nothing flashy, bought with my deployment savings. As I wait, guests stream out around me, their whispers creating a symphony of vindication. Did you see those bank statements? 10 years of payments? Madison's been taking credit for. That building's worth millions. I tip the valet $20. He's young, probably community college, working nights to pay tuition. He looks at my uniform, then at the chaos visible through the windows, and offers a small salute. Not military regulation, but genuine respect. I return it properly. The drive to my hotel takes 12 minutes. Milwaukee's skyline glitters with indifferent beauty. The city continuing its Saturday night rhythms, unaware that the Whitlow dynasty just imploded in public. My phone sits silent in the cup holder. I've blocked every family number, every flying monkey they might send. In the hotel room, I pour exactly 2 fingers of bourbon, Grandmother Eleanor's favorite brand, which I bought specifically for tonight. The television stays off. I don't need to see if local news picked up the story. Don't need to check Madison's Instagram meltdown. Don't need to read the family group chat explosion that's certainly occurring. Instead, I open my laptop and compose one final email to the vendors. The transition is complete. Whitlow Outfitters will need to establish new relationships under their own credibility. Thank you for your years of discreet professionalism. Your loyalty to truth over convenient fiction is noted and appreciated. VR, Captain M. Whitlow. My phone, the military one, buzzes once. A text from grandfather. Eleanor would be proud. Hold the line. I hold the line. By midnight, I've received 47 emails from gala attendees, business owners offering partnerships, veterans expressing solidarity. Even the Journal Sentinel reporter asking for an exclusive about women veterans in business. I delete them all. This was never about building something new from their ashes. It was about stopping them from building on my bones. Sunday morning arrives gray and windswept. I check out of the hotel at 0700 hours, my rental car already loaded. Fort Patriot expects me back by 1800. The drive will take 6 hours, enough time to decompress, to transition from family battlefield to actual service. As I merge onto I-94, my personal phone buzzes with a final message that somehow got through my blocks. From Jessica in Chicago, family emergency meeting at noon, Frank declaring bankruptcy, Madison's clients pulling contracts. They're saying you planned this for years. I didn't plan it for years. I endured it for years. There's a difference. The Wisconsin state line disappears in my rearview mirror at 08:15. In the distance, Fort Patriot waits where logistics means lives saved, not credit stolen. Where service is recorded in official documents, not rewritten for convenience. Where my name is on my work. The manila envelopes sit empty on my passenger seat. Their contents now public record, their purpose served. I could have mailed them weeks ago, could have handled this through lawyers, could have negotiated privately, but they chose the venue. They wanted public theater. They got it. At a rest stop near Rockford, I throw the envelopes in a trash can. The sound of them hitting the bottom is final, satisfying. A period at the end of a sentence 10 years in the writing. My phone buzzes one last time. Tessa. Coffee when you get back. Owen's interested in hiring you as a consultant. Real credit, real pay. I text back, Roger. The highway stretches ahead, straight and true. In my rearview mirror, Milwaukee shrinks to nothing. The Whitlow family business will survive or it won't. Madison will adapt or she won't. Frank and Mom will acknowledge the truth or they won't. None of that is my supply chain to manage anymore. I merge into the right lane, set cruise control to exactly the speed limit, and drive toward a horizon where my name means what I've earned. Nothing more, nothing less. The war is over. The perimeter is secure. The supply lines are cut. Mission complete. Thank you for listening to this story of family betrayal and ultimate justice. I'm curious, where are you listening from? Drop a comment below and let me know what country or city you're tuning in from. I love connecting with listeners around the world. If this story of military precision applied to family revenge resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. What would you have done in Mara's position? Would you have walked away sooner, or waited even longer for revenge? Let's discuss in the comments below.